Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
This podcast is for you. So if you have a retirement question you'd like us to address, reach out to us online anytime at matsonfinancial.com. And certainly, we've been in a very different time with this market. At least it seemed different. I mean, let's look back over the years. We've had market volatility before, but it seems like any whiff of news in any particular hour these days can send the market in a different direction. I think a lot of people assume that you're getting a lot of calls and questions about this, but actually, I know I was talking to Corey about this last week. He said his phones have been very quiet. He only had one phone call in the last couple of weeks from a very new client who said, I just want to check in, make sure things are the way you said they were going to be. That's kind of how it rolls there at Matson Financial Services at times like this. Can you explain why that's the case when things are volatile? Why don't you get more panicked phone calls when things get a little bit shaky?
Yeah, and what's funny is I would echo what Corey said. I think I took one phone call and I had 3 emails, and all those emails prefaced, I'm sure you're getting inundated, or I'm sure, and it's good. I would hope that if clients are concerned, obviously, that they're reaching out. But I think it speaks to the process, our philosophy, and how we set those plans up, right? We always talk about this income bucket, making sure that we've got 12 to 18 months worth of funds kind of set aside, still obviously earning some interest, but not in the equity market. So when markets are down, we don't have to sell assets for a loss to provide that income and then compound it with taxes. So we've got the income bucket for the next 12 to 18 months. And so now really what we're looking at is opportunities. And there's been plenty of opportunities in the markets over the last couple weeks, right?
Fun stuff, guys.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, anytime you see tariff on the news headline, it's like, okay, what are the markets going to do today? And it's been essentially every day, right? I think realistically, it's sticking to the plan, making sure that, again, you have those income buckets set up and that you're well diversified and you understand what your plan is. We always talk about those structured notes or those buffered indexes where we've got downside protection. These are great ways to dabble and get back into the markets if we've maybe pulled out or we've got some spare change, but we don't love the volatility. This is a great way to get in the market, still participate in that upside, but again, further protect your downside. We've got some that have 100% downside protection.
Being in the market, right? We're not talking about any guaranteed type products. We're talking about really using an opportunity of the market to say, like Taylor said, you have downside protection while still being invested in the market, and you get upside potential, right? Not too good to be true by any means.
Right.
This is something that, individually as an investor, we're not blanket statementing and saying everybody should have this. It depends on your goals, but what a great tool to add to this, toolbox of all the diversification you need in your portfolio.
And I think another important thing to remember when it comes to the tariffs is, I guess, depending on what news station you listen to, but the talk has been this is short-term pain for long-term gain. Now, that's easier said than done if your job has been downsized or your portfolio is down 15% and you're getting ready to retire or many other things. I don't want to discount that. These are real-world problems that are affecting our clients and other folks out there. But that's why it's so important to make sure we have that plan set up properly. And then we got to remember we're investing for the long term. So let's not be scared of this volatility. How can we take advantage of that volatility and put ourselves in a better position? Another thing when it comes to kind of rebalancing, maybe you were looking at doing some Roth conversions this year. What a great time to do it. You do those conversions, you get that money into your Roth IRA, you're rebuying positions. Markets are down. Markets get back to just where they were in February and you're up, 12, 13%, and that's all tax-free growth. So outside of just rebalancing the portfolio, there's a lot of opportunities that we're looking at and implementing for our clients, but it's all on an individualized basis, right? There's no silver bullet. Everybody's plan is going to be different. Everybody's going to have a different sentiment when it comes to tariffs in the markets, and that's why we take that individualistic approach.
And two, we talk about a long-term plan. Obviously, there are things that maybe we're planning for more short-term. Maybe you have kids getting ready to go to college, right? You want to use some of the dollars to help pay for education. Maybe there are trips and things coming up. But overall, what's the long-term plan? How does that tie into your goals? And then from there, that helps you take some of that emotion out of the chaos that you see day to day to know that you're not jumping in and out of the market. And also, if you go to cash, when are you best to get back in, to the market. Now you're predicting, and you're going to be upset because if you got in and the market goes down more, are you mad because, hey, it just took another couple % off? Or maybe it went up, but not as much as it would have if you would have gotten in 2 weeks ago, right? So you play this what if scenario, which is not a good space to be. So you need to be able to change this mental thought. And that's why you have us here as Matson Financial, the fiduciary team here to help you through that as to why are we making these changes. We've harvested gains, especially for the last couple of years when markets were up. If your advisor hasn't, why didn't they, right? Because now's the time to take that sideline money or that growth money, add into the market, buy when it's down. We know long term it's going to come back. So, right, these are the conversations that we have with clients from the first day that we meet you. And then we get to go to work when, hey, the sky seems to be falling for a lot of people, but not for us because we're talking about opportunity.
And I'll point out, too, we have talked about this possibility of volatility here on this show for many months now. Even before the election, we talked about how policy changes could impact the markets. And maybe we didn't see the day-to-day swings necessarily coming as they have over these last several weeks. But this is always a possibility when you're invested in the market. And as you pointed out, there are strategies outside of the market that you can use, strategies within the market that you can use too. I think maybe the most discouraging thing that I've heard from friends and from colleagues over these past several weeks are those people who are, say, in their late 50s or early 60s who have been heavily invested apparently in things like their 401ks or trying this thing on their own. And they're like, woe is me on a particular day with Wall Street. And they're like, I'll never be able to retire. And I know a lot of people, they wait for an event like this to seek out help. But for someone out there who might feel like that right now, quite frankly, maybe they feel like, hey, I woulda, coulda, shoulda done something different. Is it too late to seek out help from a fiduciary advisor?
No, right? I mean, this is the time to where we hope that you don't, I don't know if I want to say bury your head in the sand, but just kind of like status quo, like, I don't know. I guess I'll have a conversation with my advisor and hope they change things around for next time.
Yeah, hang on, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't fall into that kind of trap. I mean, even if you're not sure the time is right, it doesn't hurt you at all to have that secondary conversation with our team. We offer it complimentary just for that reason, to provide you more clarity, see how we operate, why we are so passionate about what we do, why we're different, and then you can take that information. Because think about it, if markets are up and your advisor's doing well for you, are you really wanting to make a change? Probably not.
Right.
If the markets are down and you're thinking, now's not a good time to move because now I'm locking in losses, well, when is the good time, right? So now you're kind of almost market timing in your head. But what other strategies or tools are out there that maybe aren't a part of your entire enhanced retirement plan? Tax planning, income planning, legacy planning, who owns what, who gets what. I mean, all of these things, healthcare, these should be a part of your entire retirement plan. And that's what we do here at Matson Financial.
And I think it's important to remember too that, year to date, what's done is done. So how do we come out of this in a better position? Maybe we're allocated incorrectly, and so it's going to take more time for our portfolio to rebound back the way we have it currently set up versus maybe if we did make some changes, or maybe it's time to think about some tax strategies now to implement that in your plan. And keep in mind that retirement is so much more than just the market and your investments, right? So really any time is a great time to start working on it. But when markets are down, it breeds a lot of opportunity, both in the markets, in the tax world, with regards to the rest of your finances. So what better time than now to really start looking at it and say, okay, again, what's done is done, but how am I going to take that next step forward? And what's best for me, my family, and my plan moving forward?
Find that opportunity, right? Get that ray of sunshine that we need so badly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to be glass half full right now, because you listen to the news and it's pretty empty, right?
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.